Hi everyone, Mrs. Jones here. In this video, we are going to take everything that you've learned so far and combine it all together. So you've learned about positive and negative numbers, you've learned about the distributive property, you've learned about variables, you've learned about solving equations, and now we're bringing that all together to solve multi-step equations. So what's going to be different in this video is you're going to start to see variables on both sides of the equation, as well as the distributive property on both sides of the equation. So let's dive in. I want you to keep in mind throughout this video the golden rule of algebra that you've learned. Remember, the golden rule is that whatever we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other. So even though our equations are getting more complex with variables and the distributive property on both sides, this rule is more important than ever before. So there's 4 big steps for solving these complex equations. What's going to be most important at the start is that you simplify each side of the equation. Before you start moving anything from one side to the other, you need to focus on each individual side and simplify it, meaning combine those any like terms that you can. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to combine your variable terms, meaning anything that has an x or a y or whatever variable you're using, you're going to want to get it to the same side of the equation. You're then going to want to isolate that term, meaning if there's any constants, you need to move all of those to be together, but they need to be on the other side of the equation. And then obviously you're going to want to isolate the variable, meaning if it has a coefficient, you're going to need to get rid of it. All right, so let's begin. You'll notice here that our each side of our equation is already simplified. I can't simplify anything further. So what I want to do now is I want to move my variable terms to be together, my 2x and my negative 2x. I personally prefer to always have my variables on the left. It's up to you. I find it easier that way, but again, it's up to you. I'm going to go and solve them so that they're always on the left. So I'm on the right-hand side here subtracting negative 2. Remember that addition will undo that subtraction. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides of the equation. That's going to cancel out on the right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, I'll be left with 8x minus 9 equals 2. Now I have a two-step equation. So I'm going to undo the subtraction first by adding 9 to both sides. So my goal here is to isolate this variable term, which I've done here. I'll now have 8x equals 11. Now I need to get that x totally by itself. So I'm going to use division to undo this multiplication, which means my final answer here will be x equals 11/8. I hope that felt okay. Let's try another one. Okay, again, my each side of my equation is already as simplified as it can be. So I'm going to focus on moving all of my variable terms to the left. So I need to get rid of this negative 4x. So I'm going to add 4x to both sides. That'll result in 3x plus 3 equals 9. I want to get this variable term by itself, so I'm going to undo the addition by using subtraction on both sides. And now I need to get the x by itself, so I'm going to use division, which will result in an answer of x equals 2. Okay, you'll notice here that now we have the distributive property, which means we have some simplification that has to happen on each side before I start moving anything. So let's do that. Remember that right here, there's an invisible negative 1. So we need to distribute this negative 1 to everything inside my parentheses. So I'm going to end up with 2x minus 4x minus 3 equals negative x plus 6 plus 2x. What I want to go do now is simplify each side. So I know on the left-hand side, I combine 2x and negative 4x to be negative 2x minus 3. And on the right-hand side, I can combine negative x and 2x to be positive x plus 6. Now I want to get all my variables to the left. So I'm going to subtract x on both sides, which will result in negative 3x minus 3 equals 6. Now I want to get that variable term by itself. So I'll add 3 to both sides, which will leave me with negative 3x equals 9. And now I just need to get the x by itself. So I'm going to divide by negative 3 on both sides, which will get me a solution of x equals negative 3. All right, I want you to try this one on your own. Pause the video, and then I'll reveal what's the solution in a second. All right, so again, we had some simplifying that needed to happen first on each side of the equation. You'll notice here that something crazy happens though, which hopefully you'll remember, is that all of a sudden my x's cancel out and they're all gone. So what's happening here is we have no real solution. There's no way that I can make this equation true and have -4 be equal to 5. So this is NRS. All right, try this one, please. All right, you're back. Again, we needed to distribute on the left-hand side, but you'll notice on the right-hand side that my 4x and -4x cancel out, and my 3 and my -3 cancel out. So I end up with 0 on the right-hand side. But that doesn't mean I'm done. There's more to go, and I can still solve for x, which hopefully, as you've simplified and used inverse operations, you got x equals -1. All right, one more. All right, hopefully you did this one on your own. You used the distributive property, you simplified, and you got x equals 0. All right, I'd love for you to try these 3 on your own. I'm not going to walk you through each of these. I'll just reveal the answer in a second. But of course, if you have questions about any of them specifically, feel free to reach out to your teacher. All right, so hopefully you got NRS for the first one. Part B, remember you're going to have to do quite a few distributive property there, but I'm sure you can do it. And hopefully you got x equals -3. And for letter C, hopefully you got ARN, all real numbers. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your teachers, and good luck with these equations.